Our favorite animated movie of all time is getting a sequel. Spider-Man: Across the Spider-Verse is set to release in June 2023, and we can't wait. In the first Spider-Verse movie, we met Miles Morales, the teenage successor to Peter Parker with an awkward charm and a passion for art. In the sequel, it's been a few years since he met a few other Spideys from different universes, and this time he's going to be hopping into their worlds. In this video, we'll dive into some of the hints and theories we have for the upcoming Spider-Verse movie and its characters. Let's get into it. First things first, Miles and Gwen's star-crossed romance. Last we saw, Gwen had to get back to her own universe, but she and Miles decided they'd try to stay friends even across dimensions. Spider-Verse producers Christopher Miller and Phil Lord have been teasing the relationship between the two Spideys, who are now a few years older and more secure in their roles as heroes of their respective cities, so love is on the horizon? They were hinted at in the last movie when Miles tried his hand at flirting in that one hilarious sup scene, but this time it might be a real thing. The producers explained how the focus will be on Miles' coming of age, and the film will start off in Gwen's universe. Phil Lord stated, "There's a tension between the romantic possibilities for her and Miles, and their desire to keep their friendship intact, and not to risk it. That's a really interesting place for two characters to be, especially when they're so young. Trying not to mess up an interworld friendship? Yeah, that'd definitely be harder than what we're used to." But with all these hints towards a possible romance, we're super excited to see what their dynamic will be like when they're constantly tiptoeing around their romantic tension and how that'll affect the plot of the movie. Next, what would their romance mean for everyone else? In the last film, Miles had to convince Peter B. Parker from the original Spider-Man universe, where he's alive and well and divorced, that he should give it another shot with MJ Watson. Miles already has a dad, but their mentor-mentee relationship was a bit parental on Peter's side. To make things even sweeter, Miles told Peter he should settle down with MJ and maybe even have kids with her. Spider-Dad? However, Peter possibly having kids in movie number 2 might mean that he'd be practicing with his Spider-son Miles. And if Miles is traveling across the multiverse, this might even mean a Miles and MJ interaction, which we're definitely curious to see. Peter learning how to parent with Miles opens up a whole world of possibilities for funny scenes in the next movie. It could mean him giving young Spider-Man some love advice, and maybe there'd be cool parallels between the young Spider couple and Peter and MJ's long partnership. Now, let's also look at how Gwen's world could tie into the plot. We already know a certain portion of the movie will take place in Earth 65, the universe where Gwen Stacy was bitten by a radioactive spider. In the comics, she is known as Ghost Spider or Spider-Woman. She's the drummer for a band called the Mary Janes, and her best friend Peter Parker died before she could save him. Yes, their story is flipped around. As fun and interesting as her background is, though, there's no reason to believe any particular villains or characters from her world, besides Gwen herself, would be involved in the Spider-Verse movies. She can contact Miles from her own world somehow and even traveled across in the movie's trailer. The only big piece of comic canon that could tie into the movies is the fact that eventually Gwen's identity gets revealed, so after one adventure she decides to dimension hop and stays in Peter Parker's Earth 616. Could this mean Gwen might eventually stay in Miles' universe for good? It's an exciting idea. Next, getting into theories, what's Miles doing across the Spider-Verse? A whole motley crew of spider people crash-landed in Miles' world in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's a super popular fan theory that in the sequel, Miles will be sent to another universe and he'll have to make his way back. The producers have already hinted that a large portion of the second movie takes place in Gwen Stacy's universe. It's possible that Miles will find himself stranded in an unfamiliar world and have to try and make his way back. That impossible journey, all while dealing with the fact that he can only stay in one world and Gwen definitely wouldn't be in it, that makes it hard to go back. Little man is going to have to make a choice in the end. We just hope it doesn't leave us heartbroken. Also, how is Miles sent to a different dimension? The answer is simple: Spider-Man. That's right, the antagonist of the second Spider-Verse film could, crazily enough, be another Spider-Man, aka Miguel O'Hara. The Spidey from a super advanced universe will end up fighting against Miles for unpredictable reasons. He was seen in the end credits of the first movie, swinging his way across universes and looking dangerous in his red-black suit. Venom much? Played by Oscar Isaac, his final role is still undetermined, but the fight sequence snippets really don't leave other options besides, yep, villain. That guy is definitely a villain. And he has the technology required to send people to different universes, apparently. In the credits of the first Spider-Verse, he's talking to a friend about how the multiverse could have collapsed. Clearly aware of different dimensions, then he pulls on a watch that enables him to travel easily across time and worlds. How cool is that? The place he went to was Earth 67, where he has a pointed Spider-Man moment with Peter from that world asking him for help with his mission. mission. Next up, which 6 universes will the film be set in? It's confirmed that there will be at least 6 different universes, and there was a fun cast in the first movie: Peter B. Parker, Spider-Gwen, Penny Parker, Spider-Man Noir, and Spider-Ham, and our favorite boy Miles, of course. But considering how there will be more Spider-Mans introduced in this movie, including Indian Spidey, Spider-Woman, Spider-Man from Japan, and of course the super advanced villain Spidey, we can only theorize as to which of these many Spideys will be in the final 6, or if there will be even more than the minimum number offered by the producers. The confirmed 3 are, of course, Miles' world, Gwen's world, and Spider-Man 2099's world, the last of which is the universe Miles is sent to. How are you supposed to fight your alternate self when you don't want to fight on their turf? Things are looking bleak for Miles. After these 3, though, the other most likely universe is Peter B. Parker's, our protagonist's beloved mentor, played by the hilarious Jake Johnson. We're also just super excited to see if he and MJ patch things up. Not to mention, why will there be multiple universes? Of course, we want to see them, but how does it tie into the plot of this movie? The answer to this question is a bit complicated, but it's still, yes, Miguel O'Hara's Spider-Man. The thing about being in a super advanced version of our world, where New York is Nueva York and the year is 2099, is that there are all sorts of futuristic experiments for stuff like traveling between dimensions. In the last movie, the dimension travel was possible thanks to the collider Kingpin made to get his late wife and son back from a different world. We know Gwen can somehow travel between worlds, but Miles' universe doesn't have a collider anymore, and Miguel O'Hara can both easily travel between universes and send other people across. So overpowered. So because Miles is stuck in Nueva York, he might have to get to Gwen's world first if he wants to go home. Last but not least, why is another Spider-Man the villain? Miguel's comic backstory is simple. He was a scientist born way after the superhero era, which is later called the Heroic Age, and he's fascinated with Spider-Man, of whom there are very few records left. There was an incident where all records and history were wiped out for a mysterious reason, and at this point, heroes are a thing of legend. His career ends up devoted to recreating Spider-Man, but he quits when a test subject dies. An attempt to save his research goes wrong, and then suddenly Miguel has spider powers, and he learns that with great power comes great responsibility. So he puts on a suit, one he had from a Spidey cosplay he did one time. Anyone could be under the mask, right? And now he's devoted to fight super advanced crime and corrupt businesses. A lot of this particular Spider-Man's comic runs are about dimension travel, so that ties in perfectly with Miles' story. Honestly, in the movie, he's probably trying to save his own world, but how that leads to him ending up in conflict with our Spider-Verse heroes is yet to be explained. We'll find out when the movie is released. You could say it's a leap of faith. That's a wrap for this video. What do you think? Which of the other universes could Miles end up in? Will he and Gwen Stacy actually get together? And why is Miguel fighting Miles? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.